Good evening, folks. It's Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project and Magnetic Reversal News, bringing you a grand solar minimum update Monday, July 8th, around 9:30 p.m. Mountain Time 2024. Almost 3 million customers without power after Hurricane Beryl made landfall on Texas, the nexus of the schmexus. Keep calm. It's boom time. At least 2 dead as Beryl pummels Texas with tornadoes. 90-mile-per-hour gusts leaving over 2.7 million without power. Beryl was downgraded to a tropical storm late Monday morning as it moved inland, but the storm was still wreaking havoc along its journey further into Texas. The storm center passed just outside the Houston metro area, pummeling the nation's 4th largest metro area with hours of wind gusts over 70 to 80 miles per hour and dumping over 10 inches of rain. It's insane. Here were the power outages that I refreshed a few hours ago as we set up the show. Let me refresh this and see if it's gone higher. I watched this number rise from 1 million this morning to 2 million and now 2.7 million. Approaching 2.8 million a few hours ago. We're going to refresh and see if this has gotten any better. Yes, good news. The number has dropped, well, just a little bit, still 2.5 million without power. And now California is on the list. I wonder what's going on out there. Beryl floods Texas communities after making landfall as a Cat 1 hurricane. We just told you that it dropped up to 10 inches in some areas. The good news is that the wind wasn't a big destroyer. There were a few condos and homes destroyed along a wide swath of the central Texas coast here. Here is a good example of the A-frame condos destroyed in Surfside Beach. We'll let you take a look at that. Some of them could clearly be fixed. Obviously, the most important thing is the deck here and the shoring, but wow, these were actually built out in the ocean on purpose. So now look at inland here, all the homes on stilts. Absolutely no reason to be building a house in the ocean, well, the Gulf of Mexico. But nonetheless, you know, if you build on the beach, expect the worst, period. Especially if it's an area hit by tornadoes or hurricanes or even water spouts. Here we have some more coverage. This is, again, Surfside Beach, more destruction. Only the homes that were directly on the beach appear to be damaged in significant ways. I saw some buildings damaged by tornadic activity, but that's a whole thing altogether. Our hearts, thoughts, and prayers go out to those affected, specifically in Surfside Beach, Texas, today. Take a look at this water spout. Thanks to Hurricane Beryl, it appears to be a 1/4 mile wide. Absolutely amazing. Ho, macaroni. Boom, boom. Let's take a look at the National Hurricane Center. Here we can see Tropical Depression Beryl, maximum sustained winds at 35 miles per hour. Very soon to become post-Tropical Depression Beryl as it makes its way up into the U.S., moves north and east. There is still some rain, flash flooding potential from the remnants of Beryl as it moves up through Arkansas. So we have a moderate risk of flash flooding over a large area from Dallas-Fort Worth north to Little Rock and north of that region. Let's look at the total rainfall potential. Hello. Yeah, so there is the rainfall potential, 4 to 6 inches in localized area of Arkansas over the next day or so. Heed the warnings. There could be some flash flooding coming to Arkansas now through tomorrow. Here we can see the current radar at Corpus Christi showing the remnants of Hurricane Beryl, now Tropical Storm Beryl, soon to become post-Tropical Depression Beryl, as those heavy rain bands are now moving up into, as we can see there, This is the Futurecast up till 10 p.m. So they're going to be moving through now and to tonight up through Arkansas, as well as Oklahoma, eastern Oklahoma. So the heavy rain is not over yet. Heavy rain bands, you can see the moisture feeding in all the way down here from the Gulf of Mexico into the system currently. And so we should expect some heavy rain from the system to continue for at least a day or so. Ho, ho, ho. Now, did you guys know 19 years ago, Category 5 Hurricane Rita headed towards Houston, leading to the largest mass evacuation in U.S. history? Over 100 people died on Interstate 45 that day due to car accidents and dehydration. Take a look at the gridlock here. No one going into Houston, everyone trying to leave. The next day, Hurricane Rita veered sharply and Houston barely received any rain. That experience was hellish, and it tells you a lot about the nature of forecasting hurricanes because they often move rapidly without warning, just like this one. It isn't about specific dates. It's about how evacuations can be truly disastrous, especially if you don't know what you're talking about. Not a single one of these people would have died if there were no evacuation. So be safe, be prepared. Well, and hedge your bets. Listen to what the authorities say and make your own informed decision. Here's the full forecast. Beryl makes landfall in Texas with multiple hazards expected. Dangerous heat continues for the West. Beryl made landfall this morning and will bring multiple hazards across Texas today, then track northwestward the next few days. Life-threatening coastal effects include rip currents, and they are expected for the north-central Gulf Coast, but they are waning now, in addition to excessive rainfall and a few tornadoes, mainly along the east of the track of Beryl. Meanwhile, oppressive heat continues through the week for the West. But not a single all-time monthly record has been broken for any state in the U.S. for the month of July. Let that sink in. Here is the GFS model in the current position of Beryl as it makes its way up and away over the next few days. So by the end of the week, the remnants here is Wednesday, and by Thursday, the entire system is gone and out of the picture. Long-term forecast shows a nice monsoon coming into the Four Corners here with daily rain exploding at the 2 o'clock hour time and time again. That is good news for a parched desert like the one we live in because we need all the rain we can get. We have the least amount of rain, well, than most cities, 12 inches per year. And let's take a look at the July statewide high temperature records. Not a single record broken anytime recently, except Colorado. That's the most recent statewide record for July. 2019, 5 years ago, it hit 115. But the record yesterday in Las Vegas at 120, nowhere near the 124 record in Vegas back in 1995, in July. The entire climate change narrative that it's your fault, it has something to do with CO2, the oceans are boiling and we're all burning up is bullshit. Take a look at this map. Over half of the state's high temperature records date back to the 1930s. That's the dark red. If it was the hottest month, year, ongoing, time and time again, this map wouldn't look so devoid of high temperature records. Look at these. 1900 hasn't broke 110 in North Carolina or in Virginia. 116 hasn't been broken since 1901 in Arkansas. 111 hasn't been broken since 1901 in Louisiana. 107 hasn't been broken since 1901 in Florida. Someone is making up a story. Remember the heat wave in the Northeast? It was unprecedented. Not a single high temperature record for July has been broken in the Northeast since 1936. That's insane. And it was 111 in PA in 1936, 108 in New York in 1926, and 105 in Maine in 1911. How come 100 years ago we weren't burning up? Well, we actually were. Exceptional snow year in northern Italy. Winter begins with a bang in South America as Tasmania freezes. We must all be burning up. 2024 is proving an impressive year for snow in the European Alps and an inconvenient one for the warmists. What a great sentence. The first 6 months of 2024, the administrative region of Lombardy, for example, has posted well above average accumulations across all of its glaciers, particularly on the Ardmelo, wherever that is. Winter begins with a bang in South America. The ski season in South America is off to a spectacular start, with resorts opening earlier than usual due to record snowfall. It hasn't been all plain sailing for the ski areas, though. Las Leñas, Argentina, had planned a pre-opening on June 20th, but had to cancel due to avalanches, road closures, and too much snow. The resort is now open with a snow depth of more than 4 feet at the base and 20 plus feet up at the top. Holy macaroni. Take a look at the automated multi-sensor snow and ice mapping system for South America, and we are in record territory. In fact, for the first week of July, it was a record. If this goes any further north, wow, we could be seeing record snow in South America as the earth is burning up. Seismic update. Scary rumbler up here in the Cascadia region, 5.2 in Tofino, Canada. At a depth of 10 kilometers, that event is likely over. No other real quakes of note. Normal activity worldwide as Hawaii continues to heat up with increased seismicity. All is good across the world. Worldwide volcano news for Monday, the 8th of July. We've got Reventador to 15,000 feet, Ibu to 8,000, Merapi puffing to 14,000 foot, Sabancaya to 24, Semeru to 15,000 feet. Who knew? Now you do. Take a look at Stromboli. It's delicious, and the lava flow to the sea remains active, as you can see here clearly. Liwatobi to 10,000 feet. Ibu to 8, Nevado de Ruiz, 21,000 foot puff today, Reventador to 14,000 foot. No significant changes have been recorded at Campi Flegrei. Good news. The uplift continues. The seismicity is ebbing and flowing and peaked earlier this year, but has dropped off a bit. So no imminent eruption, but the activity and the uplift continue. Same news for Vesuvius. Good news there. The volcano continues its year-long slumber with no signs of waking up. Now let's talk about Svartsengi, and this is the Iceland ongoing eruption. Inflation is continuing, stable magma inflow rates underground suggest the next eruption will occur in weeks or months from now and could be the largest eruption in the set. Merapi today, intermittent explosive activity persisting. You can see here from above the clouds, that plume. Popo puffing, Fuego to 16. Sabancaya to 24,000 feet. Semeru to 15. Liwatobi to 10. Stromboli puffing and passing. Oh, look at that shot. After the two intense paroxysms at the Voragine crater at Etna, the surface has changed substantially. Dramatic changes to the summit area here in this photo. Sabancaya to 24,000, Ibu to 8, Reventador to 14.5. Wow, I never saw a 5. That's new. And Liwatobi to 10 wraps up worldwide volcano news for the day. Space weather news for July 9th. Low-level activity for the last 24 hours after a potential uptick into M-flare category yesterday. But the sun has gone quiet once again. Coronal hole about to face us here as we can see active regions turning in from the southeast quadrant. And, well, it's just not that spectacular. The remains of AR 3712 and 3713 continue to turn back into view, and clearly they have both decayed heavily while on the far side of the sun. Despite this, occasional C flares and one low-level M flare were detected around the remnants of AR 3712 today so far. The chances for stronger solar flares above the M5 threshold is likely much lower than what may have been otherwise been expected. AR 3738 sunspot here is currently the largest sunspot region on the visible disk and will remain a threat for isolated M flares moving through the next day. Let's take a look at the latest HMI intensity. We'll get a better look at those degraded sunspot regions, well, that once were bringing us quite the spectacular display. And you can see here we do have a sunspot coming into view down here, but nothing big or scary. It looks like these are just huge. This is a huge area of plage, which means the sunspots are missing, but magnetic intermingling still occurs here. So just a few sunspots there and there turning around the limb. Nothing at all of any note. Good news. Grand solar minimum much? I think solar cycle 25 is dropping back down the limb. New study shows mysterious solar particle blasts can devastate the ozone layer, bathing Earth in radiation for years. And this is all we need as we enter the next magnetic excursion. I mean, it's been ongoing for decades. Well, actually, since 1859, in my opinion, was the beginning of this ongoing magnetic excursion. And as we drop down deeper, the magnetic field and the magnetosphere weaken, allowing more cosmic radiation in. The last thing we need is a solar particle event. An SPE with our weakened magnetosphere would blast protons directly from the surface of the sun to the surface of the Earth, like a searchlight into space. Records show that about every 1,000 years, Earth gets hit by extreme solar particle events, which could cause severe damage to the ozone layer and then subsequently increase levels of ultraviolet radiation at the surface, harming the biome. And in case you didn't know, you are part of the biome. Did you ever hear of the pearlette volcanic ash? Well, solving the mystery of it was one of the greatest breakthroughs in geologic history. The pearlette ash was known about in the 1950s, as early as the 1800s. Geologists studying the Great Plains region of the United States puzzled over strange deposits. For example, something they called a white flour-like earth in Nebraska. Although initially thought to be from nearby hot springs, under the microscope it was determined that the deposits, which could be found across the region, were from volcanic ash that had rained down from some huge prehistoric eruption. They had no idea what it was. But over a few years of studying, decades in fact, it took until the 1950s when USGS geologist Howard Powers, a volcanologist with significant experience working in Hawaii and who would serve as a scientist in charge of the Hawaiian Volcano Observatory in the 60s, examined the chemicals and the composition makeup of these beds, and boom, history was made. Here is a map of the volcanic ashfall as a result of eruptions from Yellowstone, including the ashfall from the eruption 630,000 years ago, the ashfall from the eruption 2 million years ago, and even the ashfall from Long Valley caldera, all covering the same region of Nebraska. Are you picking it up? Yeah, they finally understood the source of the strange flower-like layer, and it was, in fact, Yellowstone. Yeah, the ash in the pearlite beds. Well, it was not only Yellowstone, but it was also Long Valley caldera, and the chemistry differed. So this is not all one unit. It's multiple volcanic events, which pummeled the United States 2 million to about, what is the most recent eruption here? 2 million to 600,000 years ago. Very bad time to be in this region. The good news, it's been all quiet, and we haven't been buried in any 10-meter thick ash beds that I can remember. Take a look at this headline. Boeing accepts a plea deal to avoid criminal trial over 737 MAX crashes. Now, they will plead guilty, but the bad news is that the victims' families are very upset about this. This is just another corporate backhand deal, like a bank bailout that just sweeps up the reality of corruption at the top under the rug. And you know who suffers? The average person, you and me. And it's getting worse and worse every day. Hey, if I have a sliver of advice I could give to you, if you ever fly on a Boeing jet, you're dumber than most. And please stay away from tampons. If you're a female, there are many other ways to achieve hygiene during times of need. Arsenic, lead, and other toxic metals have been detected in tampons. The whole idea of using a tampon is toxic to begin with and is not recommended by most in-the-know doctors that actually care about human health. Breaking news. Rumble, one of the biggest alternative free speech platforms, has reached out to me. Well, and they know about our channel, Magnetic Reversal News, on YouTube. They also probably know that it's been shadow banned and it contains some of the best scientific content on the internet. So Rumble has offered us an exclusive deal. We're going to partner with Rumble and we're going to upload all of the material on Magnetic Reversal News to their platform, where they are going to share it on over dozens, let's say, of the top content providers across the world, including all streaming platforms, even in Canada and Europe. So, an amazing deal I don't think I could pass up. I'm going to be signing the contracts in the morning with Rumble. So go over to our Rumble channel, Oppenheimer Ranch Project. Subscribe to the channel here. This channel is not the one that is getting the deal. We're signing a deal with Magnetic Reversal News on YouTube, and they're going to be putting all that material over on Rumble and sharing it on all their platforms for us. So this could be a big breakthrough on the channel as far as shadow banning. We would actually be able to grow once again on Rumble. So subscribe to our Rumble channel. I promise I'm going to be putting all that same content that they're using up on here for you, because why wouldn't I? And that's a boom to knowledge. Please share this video. We are shadow banned. And well, good news. Rumble may be helping out. Please hit that thumbs up. Become a Patreon. Support the work we do. We love you. And we'll have more details on the Rumble deal tomorrow after the contracts are signed. And be safe. We love you. And that is a boom to free speech and people that care about the truth.